Hello, and welcome to the Golf for Beginners podcast. If you are new to the game of golf and you're trying to figure out how to do a very standard chip shot, well then this episode is absolutely perfect for you, because that's exactly what I'm going to explain today.
Welcome to the Golf for Beginners podcast, your essential guide to mastering golf fundamentals. Whether you're a beginner golfer or a seasoned player looking to refine the basics, join us as we teach you everything about the fundamentals of swing technique, course management, equipment, rules, and how to practice. Today's host is none other than the award-winning PGA golf instructor Nikolaj Sæthe Engström, CEO of the biggest golf teaching business in Denmark and founder of Golf for Beginners Academy.
Welcome to the Golf for Beginners podcast. My name is Nikolaj Sæthe Engström. I'm going to be your golf instructor today. And as I said in the intro, if you are new to the game of golf and you are wondering how to do a basic chip shot, well, then it's your lucky day, because that's exactly what we're going to go through. And the way we're going to do it is that we're going to talk about a few key points in different parts of the chipping motion. We're going to talk about the setup, we're going to talk about the backswing, and then we're going to talk about downswing and follow through. So we're going to split it up into those sections, and I'm going to give you some small but very important key points that you can try and implement the next time you are on the chipping area or the short game area and you're working on your chipping. So first of all, let's just get it straight. A chip shot or a chip, or when you do chipping, that is a shot that has the purpose of bringing the golf ball from being outside the green to landing on the green. So usually if you're 100 meters out, 100 yards out, and you try to hit the green, but you miss the green and you're like 5 yards or 5 meters from the green, then you want to do a little chip shot onto the green so you can do a putt the next time. So this chipping, this can be done with a lot of different clubs. Okay, that's very, very important to understand that a chip shot is not a specific club. It's more a term used to describe the type of shots where you try to get the ball on the green and you're laying outside the green. And what we're going to talk about today is that we're going to try and, we're going to pretend that we're using a sand wedge or a lob wedge. So that would usually have 56 degrees of loft or 60 degrees of loft. Okay, and then we're going to do a chip shot that, we want it to fly a little bit up in the air, land on the green, and then roll a few meters. Okay, you can also do a chip with a 7-iron. A 7-iron chip shot, it's going to be a lower flying shot, and that means it's going to roll way more when it lands. So depending on what situation you're in, and very much depending on where the flag is positioned on the green, a low running 7-iron chip can be amazing. And sometimes you need the higher, 60 degree shots where the ball flies up in the air, lands, and then don't roll very much. As I said, the thing we're going to talk about today is going to be the one where the ball flies a little bit higher and doesn't roll too much when it lands on the green. And we're going to try and go through the basic setup, and then we're going to do backswing, and then we're going to do downswing and follow through. So a few key points in the setup. First of all, let's start with your feet. I like to see a club head width of distance between your heels, and then I would like to see 3 club head widths of distance between your toes. And that is because your front foot, so if you're a right-handed player, that would be the left foot. So the left foot is turned out in the setup, which means it's not pointing straight towards you, it's more turned out to the side. And that's going to be really important because we need to rotate around this foot later on in the movement. So make sure the left foot is opened up in the setup. Then we want to see around 55% of the weight on the left foot. Again, if you are a right-handed player. So whatever I say now is going to be for right-handed players. If you're left-handed, please reverse what I say. So left foot around 55%. And then we want ball position to be in the middle of your feet. Or you can also think about it as being under your sternum. Okay, I actually like to measure from the sternum a little bit better because then it's easier if you stand on hills and slopes to remember where the ball should be positioned. So you can always hold your club and like put the grip of the club at the sternum and then just let it hang down. And then that'll kind of give an idea about where the ball should be positioned relative to your body. Okay, then we want the shaft of your club to be leaning slightly forward in the setup. And then we really want your arms to be pretty straight and hanging relaxed down from your body. Okay, so we don't want them to be angled too much out or be too close to your body either. So a nice relaxed position in your arms where they're hanging straight down from your body. That would be the right distance to the ball. And those are the most basic things in the setup. Then if we start talking about the backswing, okay, we like to see that both lower body but also upper body, they rotate in the backswing. Okay, this rotation of, it's going to be mainly the upper body, but lower body is also rotating a little bit, but mainly upper body. The rotation of this should happen without the weight shifting. So we started 55% on the left foot. You shouldn't move your weight over to the right foot just because you're trying to rotate in the backswing. You should keep your weight 55% on the left foot while you rotate your body. And then, of course, your arms are also going to swing back. And then we see a little bit of variation of how much people use their wrists in the backswing. You will see a lot of really good players, they actually allow themselves to hinge a little bit in the wrist. And some players, they do not like to hinge in your wrist. Both is perfectly okay. Whatever you feel the most comfortable with. I do tend to see that it's really nice to have a little bit of wrist hinge in your backswing, because it tends to free up the motion a little bit more, so it doesn't get too stiff and too controlled and everything. So usually I would suggest beginners to allow a tiny bit of wrist hinge in the backswing. And then when we start swinging down, there are a few different things that we also need to work on. And the way I like to describe the downswing is actually by describing the position you should end up at when you hit the golf ball. So your finish position, or whatever you want to call it. Because if you got that position correct, then it's usually because you've done a lot of things correct in the downswing and in the follow through. So let's go straight to the finish position. And what we want to see is I usually have 3 checkpoints out here. First of all, I want your right heel to be off the ground. Okay, this doesn't mean that the foot should be all the way up on the toe as it would be when we hit a full swing, but we want to see the right heel has left the ground. Because if you've done that, that means that you have moved your weight to your left leg and also that you have rotated your body, which is exactly what we want to do. Okay, see so many beginners, they keep all of their weight on the back foot, so on the right heel, they stay on the right heel when they swing down towards the ball in a chip shot. And they hit the ground too early, and a lot of mess happens from this. Make sure you get that right heel just tiny bit off the ground when you swing down towards the ball and stand in your finish position. So that's checkpoint 1. Checkpoint 2 will be that, of course, depending on the distance of your shot, of this chip shot. But let's say that you are hitting a chip shot that has to fly between 10 and 15 meters in the air. Okay. Then your finish position, you should make sure that both your hips and upper body are rotated towards the target. Really, really important here. Because that allows for the third checkpoint to be okay, which is the structure in your arm. Okay, we talked about this in other episodes, also about the full swing, but we do want to keep our arms straight when we hit the golf ball and also after we hit the golf ball. So when you're standing and your body has been rotated towards the target, we also want both arms to be straight in this finish position. So I usually say straight arms, body rotated towards the target, and right heel just lifted off the ground because your weight has moved forward to the left leg. And if you get those right, then you have come a long way in the chipping game. I really have to say. Because I see so many beginners, they keep all the weight on the right foot, they bend their arms, they don't rotate in the body, and it makes it impossible to hit a proper standard chip shot. And therefore, I think it's really important for beginners to, just start by doing 5-10 minutes of practice swings. You don't even have to do with a golf ball or anything, but start by doing some practice swings. So you have time and mental capacity to check these different things that I just talked about. And then when it's become more natural and more easy for you to hit the right finish position with your arms straight, your body rotated, and the right heel lifted off the ground, then you can start hitting a golf ball. But you don't have to go straight to that, because then there's a very big chance that you are gonna, mess up the movement. Then in the end, I need to say one more thing, because this was like an outline of the movement, but I do feel like I want to say one more thing, because it's really important for beginners to understand what actually makes the ball, fly up in the air when we do this chip shot, because that's usually a big confusion for a lot of beginners. They're trying to, usually they would try to what we call lift the ball up in the air, Okay, so if you pretend that you are playing, let's just say tennis, and you want to hit the ball super high up in the air for some reason, but that's what we want to do. If you were to do that, you would usually lean backwards. So you would put, if you're a right-handed player, you would put all of your weight on the right foot. You would lean backwards and you would swing the racket up in the air. Okay, and then you would hit the ball while the racket is swinging up in the air, and that would make the ball fly super high up in the air. The same if you are throwing a ball, and a lot of other stuff. So it's very natural for the body when it wants to get something, an object up in the air, it would lean backwards and swing either racket or your hand. It would swing that upwards. When we play golf, and especially in the chipping game, it's the opposite. Okay, because we're playing with clubs that are bent. So it means the club head has an angle, it has a loft. And the loft of the club head, that is what brings the ball up in the air. Okay, so the most important job for you as a golf player is to make sure that the ball strikes the club face at the right place. And the easiest way to do that is by moving your weight forward and making sure the club is traveling down towards the ground when you hit the golf ball. Because then you can get the leading edge of the golf club, which is the sharp edge on the front side of the face of the club face. You can get that one underneath the golf ball, and if that sharp edge gets underneath the golf ball, then the ball will hit the right part of the club face, and then the loft of the club face will bring the ball up in the air. Okay, so you do not have to lift the ball up. You have to trust that the club will do that if you just make sure that the club is getting down under the golf ball. And that is why it is so important, those things I just talked about with the weight transfer, the body rotation, and the structure of your arms. If you do those correctly, the chances are that you will hit, that you'll get under the golf ball. And, if you're not doing whatever those things I just told you, you'll probably be leaning back and you would try to swing the club upwards, which means you would hit the ground too early, or you would top the golf ball, and then the ball is not going to get in the air. So that's why it is so important to get these things right. So the club head can travel down towards the ground so you can get under the golf ball and then allow the loft of the club to hit the ball up. You do not have to lift the ball. And with those words, we made it to the end of the basic chipping episode here. I hope that it clarified some stuff, and I hope that you are ready to go out and try and test it out. Remember, chipping, it can be practiced in your backyard if you have one of those. Of course, if there's too many windows around, maybe be a little bit careful. But, put a little bucket 5 meters ahead of you, take a few golf balls, see if you can chip them in the bucket. It's a wonderful practice, and you can do it most places. Again, make sure there's no cars and windows too nearby. And then I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will be back again in the next week. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to another insightful episode of the Golf for Beginners podcast. We hope you found valuable tips and inspiration to enhance your golf journey. Remember, whether you're a novice or a seasoned player, there's always room for improvement. For more in-depth resources, tutorials, and a supportive community, head over to our website at golfforbeginners.academy. There, you'll find a wealth of information to elevate your game. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with your fellow golf enthusiasts. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and enjoy this lovely game.